attitude, experience, applicable skills. I mean, for me, as good as attitude is, experience is even more golden. And for me, now on placement with one of the largest supermarkets in the UK, working, I got an internship set up by Antonio to my right.
And I think this idea of working with, we're particularly interested in working with partners like Summit Media, the change makers, those companies who are disrupting the industry. Last year, our live project was with Cinch, wasn't it? And they're digitally disrupting the car market. And this year, Molly, you're on the same module, aren't you? And we're working with an insurtech unicorn, again, digitally disrupting the motor insurance marketplace. So working with companies right at the forefront of industries in the different sectors, that's where our students, that's where they'll be. They'll be the next future business leaders. And these are the sorts of experiences we want to give them, and, the insights into how to lead, how to change, how to grow, how to add value to businesses in, a digital world.
That's where the demand is as well, isn't it? Digital marketing.
There are big skills gaps, aren't there? Where there literally is not enough talent coming out of universities and out of education institutions to fill those gaps. So it is important that we do point our students to, so they can orientate themselves to the opportunities that exist, because where there are skills gaps, then that means they've got much better employment opportunities. And it's because we give them these insights, it's because we can help you to see where the opportunities lie. And if you can get into an area and orientate yourself and skill up through the sort of tailored modules that we've co-produced and worked with leading business partners, then that's where you can start to choose, literally select, where do I want to work, in what business, and you're attractive. You stand out as candidates because of the experiences you've had, through the projects that you've done on your course. Your CV looks different, and it's why you're so employable.
I can see why I chose to come to Hull. You've just explained it all to me.
Coming again to do your masters.
And Emily manages all of that, a huge breadth for Summit in terms of our people, how we operate the people, how we engage those people, retain those people, reward those people, recruit those people. Obviously, we've hopefully going to be, by January 2023, we'll have taken at least 20 Hull University graduates on-ish, give or take a few. Is there anything that you kind of think makes Hull University graduates stand out, because you're getting a lot of CVs every day, really?
Yeah, we get a lot of CVs, and obviously being a local employer, we see a lot of university graduates. They're our main kind of talent, feeder university that we have. We just know that when we get an application from a Hull Uni graduate, that they're going to be a really solid applicant. Like when we see their presentations at interview stage, the way they hold themselves, the experience that they've got, you can tell they've got the confidence from everything that they've learned at university to kind of bring to the role that they're coming into. And we just know as soon as we see Hull University, especially the business school on someone's CV, we're just so delighted, and we're like, okay, well, we think this will be a good person for this role.
And some of that, I think, the students, you guys will be able to tell us better. Molly's in the process of applying for a placement. Tom, you're on placement at the minute. And actually, Antonio, you lead that placement preparation, don't you? The support to help the students to secure a really dreamy placement like Tom's, like Molly's will be.
Hopefully.
Summit Media.
But I guess one of the students that we had from Hull University that did a placement year, she came to interview and she had this fantastic presentation. She had so much skills and experience that we were just kind of like, this is unbelievable. This person is so talented, has got so much experience. And that's all through coming through the business school and going on a placement year.
It also, I think it's the way that we, our assessments, the way that we design the assessments, we've moved right away, haven't we, from the essays and exams, just knowing that, you know, businesses aren't on at any point going to say, could you write me a nice essay, or could you answer this multi-choice question? You know, the students need skills to be able to write business reports, to be able to present a persuasive business case, to be able to put together, you know, a business plan for their new enterprise to attract investment. So it's, you know, we've tried to build in as much as possible into all of the different modules, skills that the students will need in real life in that graduate role. So that, you know, it's not just about getting a certificate, it's actually hopefully walking away from here with the confidence and a few more sort of polished skills that businesses value and actually are looking for.
I think that was a misconception of mine, that when you do A-levels and it's pretty much all exams, that you're going to come to university and it'll be the exact same. When in reality, you've got a lot of group projects going on, and you're doing a lot of investigations and reports, a lot of stuff that's applicable to the real world that you will take forwards. And I know, because I've been on placement and used a lot of those skills, that it gives you that platform to thrive. And I guess that's the reason why a lot of the Hull graduates are so ready to do presentations, because I couldn't count on two hands how many presentations that I've done across my first 2 years. So it gives you that confidence, I think, to go out and speak to employers as well, and to, with your mock interviews, I know, Molly, you've got one planned, and I did at least 3 with Hull, with 3 people from completely different backgrounds, nothing to do with supply chain, just to give you that experience of different interviewers and the different ways that they'll ask you questions, and just giving you that confidence to speak for yourself, because I think that's something that you always lack. You're never going to come to university and be someone who can naturally just stand in front of a table of employers and you know, make yourself shine.
I think it's that focus that we have in the business school, really, on ensuring that actually what we're teaching is applicable to the real world. And the assessments the students are doing are actually developing skills that are relevant. And I think that that's something that we do very different. But that, coupled with the access the students get to us, you know, it's students come and talk to you about careers. We give advice, and we then have our networks that we then say, oh, by the way, I know somebody that's working in this industry. I can set up a meeting for you. And I think that's part of that culture of Hull, which is just so different. It's friendly, it's engaging. Students can talk to the lecturers whenever they want. They've got time to talk to them. The lecturers actually care. And I think that's just so different from another university where you're just a number.
I think that's something that we've seen a lot as well. Like when we, you know, we reach out to people like, you know, Peter Andrews and yourselves, there's always that personal touch, and like everybody feels like they know everybody. Like we're like, oh, we've got this project coming up, we've got this role coming up. And there's always someone that like, oh, we know this person that would be fantastic for this role. They did really well in this area when they were on the course. And it's that, I think that really surprised me, because obviously I didn't come to Hull, that kind of personal touch, that everybody knows where the strengths are in the students and can really advocate for them and put them forward for roles in, you know, real world businesses.
And just back to Antonio's point, in terms of when we're looking as an employer, when we're looking at CVs and we're thinking about who's going to come into our business, you know, the CVs are all very strong, particularly from the business school and Hull University. But actually, what are we primarily looking for? We're looking for really good attitudes, because you hire on attitude and then you train for experience. And I think the breadth of knowledge that is given on the course is fantastic. So we don't ever really worry about that. It's not a thing that really kind of, you know, that box is certainly ticked. But what I think Hull University does and the business school does really well is prepare people so that when they come in, it's very obvious they have a great attitude. And you just talked about doing 3 preparation interviews there. That plays through to a great attitude, because then myself and Emily would have a conversation and say, he was very well prepared. He's clearly done some practice interviews. Or potentially you've gone and done some of the free Google courses that are available. Oh, that's on their CV. They've done that in their own time. Attitude. That's the thing. They're differentiating themselves, and they're being given the chance to demonstrate very subtly but very clearly. They will go above and beyond, and they really want this job and they're ready for this job. And that's really, really important. Because if you come in and you've never had an interview before, and you come in and you have a, let's say, a difficult interview, and you're surprised by some of the questions that are asked, and you maybe wouldn't give the best account of yourselves. Actually, there's so many applications that are coming in. There's so many people who want to get into our industry. It's relatively ruthless and cutthroat in that industry. So actually, I'm afraid until the next raft of applications are available, there are better candidates. But if you're prepared and ready to go, you will stand out.
Yeah. And Molly, I was hoping I might be able to bring you into this bit of the conversation, because Molly was really successful last year, weren't you? You earned yourself 2 internships. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so one of them was part of the module. We did a marketing module, and we worked with an actual company, Cranswick, based in Hull, and we basically had to design a product from start to finish, which gave a really good idea of what processes go into it. How do you begin researching what's going to be popular in the market? How do you decide particularly what particular meat or particular flavour you're going to pick and things like that? And we had to have research to back up all our ideas. And then coming up with packaging for it, and coming up with a recipe, and literally I designed the back of my packaging, and it was all accurate, all the nutritional information, all the recycling information, because I just found it so fun and exciting that I had the opportunity to do this as first year. I was like, I'm just going to put my heart into it, and I did. And luckily, a few students were picked, I think around 6, to present to a board from Cranswick, and I was one of them. So we had to make a kind of presentation that was a bit of a whistle stop of our whole assignment. And then they picked 2 winners of a best presentation, and then a person whose kind of new product development concept was the best. And I got the best new product development concept for kind of all the work I'd put in. I actually made the product at home. I made the packaging physically at home. All my pictures had references made by me, photographed by me. So I think they really appreciated the extremes I'd gone to buy a tub of sauce that I've not used since, and it's still sat in my fridge, but I used it once for that meal.
What was the product?
I made a spicy gochujang chicken. It was kind of little chicken bits in a sauce that I'd come up with, and it was kind of meant to be very versatile. You could have it on a salad or in a wrap or on barbecue, things like that, or with chips.
Awesome.
So yeah, and then there was another one that I did that was kind of on the side. Fanny organised it with the bonus group, who sponsored Bonus Arena, and we had we were originally working in groups, but the people that were in my group didn't want to have that commitment for the rest of the year. And I was like, I'll do it on my own. And Fanny was like, don't worry, Molly, I know you can do it on your own. So I was like, okay, cool. So we were given tasks every couple of, maybe month or couple of months, because they understood we were doing uni work as well. And we would have a few weeks to get this work done and then send it off. And then at the end, the few groups that got through, we got invited to the Bonus Arena to present to the CEO of Bonus Group and the head of digital transformation, I believe he's called. He came to the uni before he graduated a couple of years ago. So we had to, it was again a whistle stop of all the work we'd done in the previous tasks that we had to present. And in the end, they said that my kind of work and presentation was the best. So we all got work experience, on the Cranswick, we all got the work experience as well. But for this one, they gave me 2 VIP tickets to see a show, which I haven't yet been to. But I will at some point, hopefully.
VIP.
So yeah, and to think that I never even was going to do business 12 months before, or marketing.
And a great employability story just on the back of that. So Trish, who's I guess 2 years ahead of you, did the same thing, and she with Bonus. She now works at Summit.
Yeah,
So it was one of those things that stood out, and Alec, who is he recommended her to me.
Oh wow.
So there is a lovely kind of community element of checking references, supporting local businesses, and I know that the scheme is really valuable, and therefore the people who are on it and do well in it are people that we absolutely want to be employing.
Yeah, I managed to work with Alec for the 2 weeks when I was at Bonus, and it was really interesting because he manages so many things and I'd never had any experience in any of them. And I think as well, having all these experiences is really good because I had an interview just this week for a placement, and it was kind of an assessment centre interview. So half of it was an interview and the other half I had to create a presentation based on a piece of work that I'd done either at university or something like that, and kind of talk them through it. How did I struggle with anything, whatever. And because I'd had all these experiences, I picked my Cranswick work because I really loved it. And I made a presentation to show them, and they were so like blown away by the fact that, wow, I was in first year and I'd done all this work, and my photos weren't the most professional, but they still looked pretty good. And they were just like, we can't believe you've already done kind of
So much.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key, because there's plenty of universities who will offer some kind of connection to business. But normally it's in the last year, but it literally is day one, first year, marketing module. You've got your live project, and we're constantly trying to feed in the different opportunities that you can work with businesses, you know, whether that is a guest lecture. Let's not kid ourselves. This business is the most popular course that you can study in the country, and that means that you guys are amongst 40,000 graduates every year competing for the same jobs. So we need to help you to stand out. You need to look different from those other 40,000 graduates, and that's what we're all about here, isn't it? Making you look different, making you stand out, being able to shine and really understand what opportunities are out there where you can really prosper.
I think
Attitude, experience, applicable skills. I mean, for me, as good as attitude is, experience is even more golden. And for me, now on placement with one of the largest supermarkets in the UK, working, I got an internship set up by Antonio to my right, who I contacted. This is all in the midst of COVID as well, and I thought there is no chance I'll be able to get an internship with someone where I can gain experience. And before this, I had no experience in sort of food and drink, that area. And I think I reached out just through the university, and then I got in touch with Antonio, and Antonio said, "Oh, I know a guy who happened to be an ex-Hull student,
ex-Hull graduate,
as well.
yeah.
And he's now a successful entrepreneur within the area of Hull, still living in Hull, still working in Hull. And he runs the store on Pearse Street down on Humber Street in Hull. And I had some experience working with him on his startup business, Lokio, which is now launched, doing logistics and some marketing consultancy as well, which gave me some great experiences, particularly working for an entrepreneur and just being one-to-one with that entrepreneur. It's a totally different environment now, working in a corporate setting where you realize how slow some things can be in a corporate setting. And then if Phil said he wanted something done in an hour, it was done within an hour. And that was invaluable experience, which I had fed back following my interview for placement, which was one of the key things for me to get the placement.
Yeah, it's really interesting because, I mean, what you're saying there, it's sort of interdisciplinary and cross-functional. So even though Tom, you're doing a business management with supply chain degree, Tom was like, well, you know, I want to actually get some experience with a small business with an entrepreneur, ideally. And his lecturer, Linda Wicker, then emailed me, "Oh, Antonio, do you know somebody that's looking for a really good graduate?" And surprisingly enough, I just got an email saying, "By the way, Antonio, I'm looking for an intern. Do you know any really good students?"
Yeah.
Next thing, match up, and a business comes out. And I think that arises from our links with the local business community and the fact that everything that we do in the business school is linked with business.
Yeah.
And we actually build a network for the students and for us when it comes to employability. So I think that this a great example, obviously, of how that works in reality, Tom. I mean, and now obviously you've got your placement, which is in logistics specifically, isn't it?
Yes, and strategy as well. So again, it's that mixture of the two subject areas, I think.
Fantastic.
And it's that, I think it was with Phil, it was also, well, giving you that experience on a smaller level and giving you the chance to just flourish, I suppose, and giving you those experiences.